This week, Tesla's full self-driving captures two massive edge cases like we've never seen before.
Plus, Lucid is teaming up with NVIDIA, and they're saying they'll have eyes-off autonomy by this time next year.
And Tesla just rolled out version 14 of their full self-driving, and regulators have an interesting problem with it.
Kim, lots to get into today, but we know over 1 million of you are tuned in every single month, but the data shows that 7 out of 10 are actually not yet subscribed. Of course, it doesn't cost you a thing to subscribe, but it helps us out because it helps get us noticed, gets us invited to events. We've got another event you're headed out to here shortly.
Yes. And also, if you are watching this, we put chapters down below so you can jump to anything that interests you. But let's get right into it, these edge cases, because I've never seen anything like this before.
I don't think too many people have. So we've got 2 FSD cases that seem to be one of a kind in their own right. First one happening out of Oklahoma in the last couple of days. Did you see this footage?
This one is crazy because we had this video footage of it, of a plane crashing down and the car dodging it.
So as you can see, this happens quickly. You got a Tesla cam capturing a turboprop plane. This is an Oklahoma National Guard airplane that had engine failure. It was doing some sort of testing. It comes in for landing right over a highway. The vehicle kind of dodges the landing gear, which inevitably would have been probably a fatality right there, a landing gear going through the windshield. Dodges it, kind of heads towards oncoming traffic, goes underneath the wing, dodges back, and all of this captured on full self-driving. The person who shared this actually said this was their friend that sent this footage to them. We have been able to confirm this crash landing did happen at the airport there with this aircraft. So this does look to be legitimate. Pretty miraculous shot
and
there.
We know that this is real footage. This is not like AI created footage. We confirmed there was actually a plane crash. And then also, a lot of people were asking if it was V14 that was able to do this, but we're guessing probably not because it hasn't been widely released yet.
Yeah, so the video itself on X got about 2 million views, a lot of people talking about it. And as you said, it is confirmed that this emergency landing happened and the plane was able to the Tesla was able to kind of dodge around the plane and get into its lane. And other people have said, latest iterations at least, have been able to dodge away from debris and objects on the road. But this is kind of what you think is the ultimate edge case because we've never seen FSD capture something quite like this where an airplane comes into its path and it dodges around it.
Do you think a human would be able to do that?
I would have to think if you're paying enough attention, you naturally react to it, but obviously darting away from the nose, the landing gear, and going underneath the wing seems pretty incredible. Either way, it pulled it off.
I don't know if like a typical human would be able to do it. I actually, when I watch it, I'm like, wow, I really think this is a scenario where FSD probably saved their lives.
And if you think that's wild, you've got to see this next story. This comes out of Australia, happening again within this last week, where full self-driving is engaged. You've got a doctor and his wife on a desolate road in South Australia, and they're driving through clear skies, nobody around them. A meteorite apparently impacts their windshield as they're driving, which would be astronomical odds, by the way.
Of course you're going to say that.
Yeah, 1 in a trillion chance.
But there's no video of this. There's no footage.
So that's what's crazy about it is that the top comment from this Australian news station that posted this story is that where is the footage from Tesla Cam? And it's not there. And a lot of people are saying that maybe this wasn't enabled. And some people are saying, well, on full self-driving, it automatically should be enabled. Well, apparently you can go in there and disable it, and maybe some people have, or maybe it overrode it. But that's kind of the catch here is that what's going on? Why is there no footage of this? This was a Juniper Model Y.
Could you imagine that footage though?
Yes. The owner says that, again, they were listening to a podcast, violent explosion, hot fragments of glass kind of melts around them. You can see it. The glass is definitely melted. He said there was nothing around them to indicate this massive rock that apparently hit them. And the only thing that suggests glass melting is he actually took to Grok and asked Grok, and Grok said it would take 1,500 degrees Celsius for a Tesla laminated glass to start melting.
So they've been able to go in and like see the debris and like confirm that this was a meteorite or meteoroid.
So meteorite is when it impacts the surface on the Earth. If it's out in space, it's meteoroid. So this was a meteorite is what it's suspected. And if it is the case, it's the first known of its kind to hit a moving vehicle. Now, again, full self-driving was enabled here, and the owner says it was going for about 10 or so seconds. He was kind of rattled after all of this happened. He almost thought he hit something. And then after 10 seconds, he disengaged it, pulled over, wasn't able to find anything around because, he was going about 110 kilometers an hour, 70 miles an hour. So he'd already passed that area. Now, the officials in Australia and some museum officials are very interested in this. They're examining the windshield now to see exactly if there's any fragments embedded in there. And they're also going to go back to that site location and see if they can find something. Evidence suggests that this is very likely something that was coming in very fast and was hot enough to melt the glass, which really leaves it to be a meteorite.
So I remember a couple of years ago, we went to the Tellus Museum here in Georgia. I was 9 years old. I remember hearing about this story.
We heard a big bang that sounded like an explosion. It was very, very loud. It shook these houses here.
And there was a vehicle that was also struck by a meteorite.
Correct. That was in 1992, happened in October of 92 in New York, upstate New York. It was a football-sized meteorite that impacted the back of this parked car. And the car now is in a museum. As we went inside, we got some footage of it. And the meteorite itself, of course, was captured at that time right next to the car. This time in Australia, the car itself, of course, is moving. So the meteorite is possibly kind of bounces off the windshield and goes somewhere into the desert to be struck.
So did it bounce off the windshield or did it go through it?
It did not go through it. It looks like it hit it. It was hot enough to melt it, but the car is moving. This is moving. So likely it just kind of moves off to the side of the vehicle and at high speed kind of ejects somewhere into the desert.
Isn't there like a whole bunch of people whenever there is like a meteorite, they go out there and try to find it? Like that's like a thing.
It is a thing. So NASA actually says that meteorites the size of basketballs actually strike the surface of the Earth once a month on average. So our planet's about 73% ocean, so the vast majority of them end up in the waters. In fact, meteorites the size of pebbles strike the Earth about 50 times a day. They're, again, the surface of the Earth, about 3% of the surface of the Earth is inhabited by humans, and the majority of it is water. So a lot of this is never going to be observed.
Anybody out there know if like we're going through this period of more asteroids or comets? It seems like, I don't know if it's in the media now with like 3i Atlas or if like maybe we're going through
There's
something
seasonalities,
more.
right? We have meteor showers and Perseids and so on. There's seasonality to it. I don't know if we're in that season right now, but certainly could be.
Well, something else that's in the Astros is today's sponsor, Astro AI. Do you know what's crazy about the accessory that I use most in my garage? It weighs less than an apple and it's small enough to fit in my pocket. This is the Astro AI L7 mini tire inflator, and even though it's small, it still packs 150 PSI. So you can inflate tires, balls, pool floats, and bicycles in seconds. So check this out. It has 5 preset modes. We have the car, motorcycle, bicycle, ball, or custom, and it inflates and auto shuts off, so it prevents overinflation. And it takes all the guesswork out because it has true gauge tech built right into it. It collects pressure data 200 times per second, so you get incredibly accurate readings. And it also includes a 3-mode flashlight. We have regular mode, strobe, and SOS. I like to keep one of these in both of our cars for peace of mind. And I love that even though it's tiny, it's backed by a high capacity battery pack. And once it's fully charged, it can inflate between 8 car tires, 18 motorcycle tires, 30 bike tires, or 88 basketballs. It's the perfect holiday gift, and with my discount code below, you get the same price as the Black Friday or Cyber Monday deal. All right, let's get back to the video. So yesterday I was scrolling social media and I kept seeing videos with Mad Max, which is one of the personality tiers for the new version 14 of full self-driving. And it did seem a little bit crazy. And I know that the regulators are definitely, I think they have a probe going into it now.
They do. So, of course, the tiers you're talking about, there's Sloth, which is kind of the first tier, the slowest drive, doesn't change lanes very often. You go up to Hurry, which we've had in previous versions. That's the 4th tier. And then 5th tier is this Mad Max mode. And NHTSA is saying it's a little too spicy. So it's a nod to the Mad Max movie franchise because of its sharp speed and maneuvers. And basically, it's able to navigate through dense traffic in a hurry, but even more so than the Hurry mode. Now, NHTSA is saying maybe this is a little too sentient. It's a little too human-like in the way it's operating. There's some critics around it. They're investigating. They've launched a probe that they say they've received complaints of 58 full self-driving incidents, 14 crashes, 23 injuries, and some traffic violations as well.
You're saying that there's been 14 crashes just since Mad Max has been released?
That's what the headlines indicated. I looked into this and kind of did some double checking on it as well. And it looks like that's through 2016 from autopilot inception all the way with FSD merged into it into 2025. So this is not all Mad Max. In fact, 2 of these were related to Mad Max.
Okay, so that's like a real problem right here because I feel like that is becoming a headline right now and that doesn't look good for Tesla, where you're saying these crashes are almost over a 10-year period.
They are, which when you think about 58 complaints over a 10-year period of autonomy. So this probe by NHTSA into Mad Max is actually not triggered by Mad Max necessarily, but they're saying it's just an increased risk factor because of a history of different self-driving complaints they've received. So they're looking into it to see if it's safe enough to be in this mode.
So we don't have version 14 yet, so I haven't been able to personally try this one out. But when I have driven in hurry, that's almost too much for me.
That's my preference is hurry mode.
I don't like that. That one feels aggressive. So I feel like I would not like Mad Max. And I've watched a couple of the videos and I'm like, that's a little bit too much for me. And I know that like for the Tesla driver that is in it, it's probably safe. But then for the other people around them, you know, having an aggressive driver does make it, I don't know. It's not always the best thing.
Well, it's not inherently breaking speed limits, right? When it's kind of going through traffic, it is human-like because a lot of people do tend to drive like that if it's, you know, a dense environment and people are going slow in front of you. That's what it's doing. And there is some precedence for NHTSA because NHTSA, if you remember, pulled the plug on rolling stops. FSD used to have rolling stops. They launched an investigation. Now, if you have full self-driving engaged, you come to a stop sign, you'll notice it'll come to a dead complete stop and then lunge back forward and continue moving. So this is, the question comes out of this is this going to kind of be an inhibiting thing for FSD? Mm-hmm. Do you want it to be just like a human? Because humans do rolling stops. Yeah. Humans do go over the speed limit. And this is what Mad Max is doing in some scenarios. I would like to see
how the engineers sort of train it because, yeah, there are humans. And we know that AI a lot of times goes off of how humans react, how humans talk, but then it's not always right. There's so many times where I ask it things and it gives me the answers that I know are incorrect. So if you're thinking about bad drivers, you don't want it driving like a bad driver. And if Mad Max is taking some of that from bad drivers, like how do you override that?
Well, when every car on the road is autonomous, then they can all follow the rules and you and I wouldn't care because we're doing something else in the seat. So that's a different story. But I think right now, when you are driving with the majority being humans around you, maybe you should drive a little more human.
That's exactly. I agree with that 100% about it. I think Elon said that most people should wait for later versions of full self-driving too, because there are a couple little like bugs right now with version 14. Not as many bugs as my iPhone 17 Pro Max has right now, but there are some bugs that it's trying to work out.
Well, apparently with Robotaxi, there aren't as many bugs because they are expanding it yet again. This time it is 12 times bigger than its original geofenced area in the pilot program. We're now up to, I think it's 243 square miles.
And this is for Austin.
This is Austin Robotaxi. Kind of sends a clear message to Waymo because Waymo has been right around 90 square miles since it launched in Austin back in March. It really hasn't changed much. Tesla has changed multiple times, going all the way up to now 243 square miles, 620 square kilometers.
So have they increased the number of robotaxis, though?
So our friend Farzad actually posted on X that he was trying to get a robotaxi in the last couple of weeks. And again, there was kind of a delay because the expanded area keeps coming in. It looks like initially there was about 15, maybe 20 robotaxis. Most recent expansion in August, Tesla said they increased that by about 50%. So they added another maybe 10 or so. So we're between maybe 30 and 40 robotaxis in Tesla's fleet. But that seems like, given the expansion now to being 12 times its original size, going from 10 to 40 is probably not as scalable.
So when we were there just a couple of weeks ago, and this is before that expansion, we had to wait at one point like 20 minutes. I actually canceled the ride. They gave you the opportunity to cancel if it's too long of a wait.
So Tesla's stance is that we're making this scalable. We're going to rapidly expand this. And I think in the Q2, earnings report, Musk said that they'll try to make this available to about half the U.S. population by the end of this year. They've talked about 8 to 10 major metro areas getting expanded into, starting in Nevada, Florida, and Arizona. Right now, Tesla still has the safety driver in the front. Their goal is that within 5 months of rolling out into any new market, that safety driver is removed. So we're getting very close to that here in Austin. That's expected to be removed soon.
I feel like I read something too about the safety driver. That wasn't required in Austin. They were doing that.
It's out of an abundance of caution that's what the understanding is too, that's what they're doing. It's going to be removed soon. In fact, in San Jose, they just expanded to the San Jose airport this last couple of days they've announced. So we were there a few days ago and we saw they had an airport spot there for robotaxis.
Yeah, for autonomous vehicles.
So Musk actually went on X and said that he thinks this technology for full self-driving is going to spread faster than any piece of technology in history. He said, of course, the groundwork and the foundations with the hardware in Teslas have been laid out for so many years. They've accumulated 6 billion miles so far. So it's going to happen really quickly. And the adoption rate for FSD is 12%.
6 billion miles. Like when you hear that number, it's like hard to put that into perspective. Like I keep thinking about like space. Like how far away is Mars?
I believe this would be 50 trips to Mars and back, something along those lines. Yeah.
That's just like wild to think about how many miles they have and how far they are ahead of everyone else. Something really interesting too that Elon Musk said during the Q3 earnings call was that that hardware 3 vehicles are going to get a version 14 Lite.
That's what they're calling it, V14 Lite. It's going to come in Q2 of 2026. So if you've got hardware 3, like the majority of people, you're not left out, but there is, of course, going to be limitations, but comfort enhancements, banish mode, where you're able to pull up and the car goes and finds a parking spot for you. That's sometime in the middle of next year for the older Teslas with hardware 3.
Well, I think that's really cool because we had kind of talked about that earlier, saying that hardware 3 vehicles might not be able to get this new update, but it looks like they're going to still give them a light version
to some
of
level,
it.
yes.
I feel like what's going on right now with full self-driving is kind of like what happened with the NACS port, right? Like Tesla did it. Everyone else, had their CCS. Everyone was doing their own thing. And then they realized, wait, the NACS port is better. Let's switch over to that. And now everyone's playing catch up. And it's kind of like what's happening with autonomous driving in general, where the other vehicles are saying, okay, it's not enough just to be an electric car. Now we need to have autonomous driving because that's the future.
That's really an interesting analogy. And I can see for some automakers that maybe that does come to fruition where they start outsourcing this and getting Tesla's software stack implemented into their vehicles. Granted, they can get the same hardware on board, but Tesla's supposedly is going to be the most affordable approach with vision. So if you've got their technology into it, then you should be able to.
In the last couple of weeks, it's interesting because a lot of other brands are just announcing what they're going to be doing for their autonomous driving. Just now, end of 2025, they're just starting to talk about this.
Well, we've got Autonomy Day coming around the corner for Rivian at the end of December. We've got Lucid that just announced this huge partnership with NVIDIA, saying that their $50,000 small sedan, small SUV, it's going to be unveiled sometime at the end of next year, will have level 4 autonomy. And in fact, they're saying level 4 autonomy with eyes off the road are going to be in their vehicles in the Gravity, namely here in the next 8 to 10 months.
Now, how's this different than what Tesla does? Because Tesla also uses NVIDIA chips in their GPUs and some of their AI training. But Tesla, I believe, designs all their hardware in-house, where with Lucid, they're going to be working with NVIDIA to also design all their hardware.
So the technology stack Lucid is using from NVIDIA is actually their Drive AGX Thor computers. They've got 2 of these that are being used as kind of locally centralized architecture. When it comes to their partnership, though, they have distinct paths for autonomy. They've got their Neuro Uber robotaxi plans on their Gravities. That's going to be rolling out here in the next year. And then their consumer-facing product is actually coming through NVIDIA and that partnership with that hardware and that software.
So the NVIDIA ones that are for the customer-facing vehicles, that will be from the ground up, where again, with these robotaxi ones, that's something that they actually have to retrofit the vehicles for.
Yes, that's my understanding. Their initial deployment is their eyes-on level 2++, which is kind of the point-to-point that they're going to roll out in the Lucid Gravity. Of course, we tested it in recent weeks. Their Pro Pilot, I think it's called.
Dream Drive.
And that one I thought was pretty good. I thought it was one of the better ones just because of how it engaged in windy mountain roads, in bad weather, in tunnels, where a lot of don't necessarily kind of enable unless they're set in certain environments. And this seemed to enable in most environments that I tried it. No.
But again, this is like centers you in your lane. It keeps you, distance from the car in front of you. It doesn't take you on and off roads. It doesn't have any kind of autonomous driving to it.
The Tesla one is significantly better. This reminded me of Tesla from maybe 2021, maybe 2022.
It's like basic autopilot.
Yes, it was like V11 FSD. The early days where it was good enough and you were excited to tell people about it. And this was the first time I'd seen another automaker that made me feel like V11 FSD, which at this point for Tesla, it seems like, ages ago, but I thought it was impressive for what it was.
Another interesting thing, though, about V14 that I forgot to say earlier was that it's an all or nothing type scenario. You no longer have those options with V14. It's either full self-driving or nothing.
Yeah, it's all in. It's happening right now.
It's all in. So that's why everyone else now is like, oh crap, we better play catch up here, because there's nobody else that's even at that level really that Tesla is at.
Yeah, and I saw GM actually, they announced as well that they're going to have full FSD equivalent eyes off the road driving by 2028. Mary Barra came out and said, you can send your car to pick up your food, pick up your kids, and, drive you to work. You don't have to pay attention. And they're saying that available starting in 2028 with the Cadillac Escalade IQ SUV. That's the first car they're going to have that's going to have that feature. But they're going to also introduce next year a fully dedicated conversational AI built full self-driving sort of vehicle that'll unveil as well next year.
So
again,
does that mean
roll out in 28 with the Escalade.
So that's sort of like what we have with Grok, like where you can talk to it.
That's my understanding of it. But the fascinating part was that the reception from the masses in the comment section of these articles, does it come with a casket? And this is not what we want. This is unsafe. And the last thing I want to do, I want a cheaper car. I don't want a car driving me. This was kind of the broad outside of EV ecosystem GM customers that were saying this.
So it's kind of interesting because like we're in this bubble, right? We've been driving EVs for over 10 years. And a lot of you guys watching are interested in electric cars. Maybe you own a Tesla, maybe you own something else, but you're interested in electric cars. And so we're used to this. But then like when you look at the mass, we still have,
they think it's ages away. They've not experienced it quite like us. GM obviously is going heavy on this just very recently, pushing forward.
But they're struggling too. At the same time with their electric cars, they just shut down Factory Zero plant.
So their Factory Zero plant, they just announced indefinite layoffs till at least the end of November for 1,200 employees, where they've completely shut down operations. Of course, they had 280 cuts earlier in the year as well in Detroit. And in their Q3 earnings report, they put a $1.6 billion charge in there that was related to their EV investments. So they're kind of seeing a pretty dramatic slowdown on EV adoption. We thought this would be the case with the tax credits going away. In fact, Musk had kind of said that Ford and GM, these are the automakers that are going to see the most significant impact. And it looks like it might be the case with the potential layoffs that are in place there. And of course, now they're kind of leaning heavy on this whole self-driving approach. And in the last 6 months, they hired formerly Tesla's Sterling Anderson. The VP of engineering is from Apple as well. So they're leaning heavy on the tech. But it's interesting to see that they're backing away maybe from the EV side and trying to go in on the tech.
Well, for autonomous driving, though, it's not just about electric cars. And with GM, you have so many different brands under that same umbrella. So I liked hearing that they're really going all in on autonomous driving. I do think that's the future. And yes, it's going to take people a minute to get used to it and get around to it. But eventually, 5-10 years from now, it will be a lot safer on the roads.
Well, speaking of 5 to 10 years from now, that's about how much time we've been waiting for the next gen Tesla Roadster. And according to a job listing that Tesla just posted, it might actually be still in the very early stages of conceptual design. And the reason I say this is because we heard Franz von Holhausen, the chief designer on our friend Ryan McCaffrey's podcast last week or in the last couple of weeks, say that they're going to launch this vehicle in 2027. By the end of this year, we're going to have a drivable, a saleable demo of it as well. Well, a job listing just popped up on Tesla's site for a manufacturing engineer to design the battery production system from scratch. Apparently, there's no early concepts that exist quite yet because the description says this is an early development. I suggest that it's preliminary stages, which makes me wonder this 2025 unveil that we're expected to see by the end of this year, is this going to be kind of a prototype or an incomplete vehicle?
Now, just because they have a listing for a battery engineer, I don't know if that necessarily means, though, that they haven't started developing the battery for these vehicles.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess, yeah, the headlines jump at you when you've been waiting for it for 7-8 years. And I think I even saw Sam Altman post a tweet yesterday canceling his order from 2018. I don't even know if you saw this one yet, but he basically said, waited long enough and it's not personal. They've had kind of this whole spat with Musk, but he said it's not personal. He's really wanted this vehicle, but 7.5 years of waiting, he's moving on from it. But I mean, we'll find out. We'll get a better perspective by the end of this year when we actually see something. But it seems like this job posting makes it look like there's work to be done still.
I feel like Franz wouldn't have talked about it as much as he did if they were still in those really early phases.
I'm hoping you're right. So, Kim, some good news here because Tesla is actually doing something very quietly in the background that's kind of consumer friendly or customer friendly that I've never seen done before. So, imagine if your car is in for service and you've got subscription for full self driving, for windshield tire protection, premium connectivity. If your car's in for more than one business day, they now automatically pause your subscription so that you don't lose out on that day or multiple days that your car is in. And this is kind of a really nice play off of their direct to consumer model because it enables them to tap into something like this where other automakers might not be able to do that. But if your car goes into service with another brand and it gets in there for a week, they'll kind of shrug off you having paid for something that you don't have access to. In this case, someone noticed in the fine print that Tesla now says will pause all of your subscriptions and trials, which is kind of a cool little thing.
I love that they're doing that. And then talking about customer service, it kind of brings up these robots because Optimus is getting some serious competition right now. So a company called 1X just released Neo, which is their autonomous robot that will be the competition now with Optimus. Now, this one is actually backed by OpenAI, which I thought was interesting. It's also a little bit smaller than Optimus. So Optimus is 5'8", 125 pounds, which is quite a bit taller than me. Neo is 5'6", and only 66 pounds, but they're kind of designed differently. Their approach is very different. So with Neo, they're putting it into homes first. It's going to be like a home helper. And Optimus is already working 24/7 in factories right now. So the approach with Optimus will really be to give it full self-driving, to make it full self-driving.
It uses the same computer.
Exactly. To make it completely autonomous before it goes into homes. And with Neo, it's going to be still learning, going through kind of like a teleoperation phase before it becomes fully autonomous. Now, I did go ahead and order one because I want to be
madness.
able, I know it's madness, but here's the thing. I want to see that approach and I want to be able to share it with people so you can see how different it is from Optimus. And I plan on getting Optimus as well so I can really see the differences between them. This one, it has OpenAI backing it. So it does have some autonomous features. It's still kind of in that beta mode of training.
This is going to be in homes, they're saying, by the end of next year. So sometime in late 2026, you expect to get this, where Optimus probably goes into 2027. Like you said, I think they're completely different robots. Price point somewhat similar, 20 to 30K is what we're expecting, Optimus to come in, and this is where Neo came in at 20K.
A lot of people have issues with it because of the teleoperation and having someone being able to see inside your home. Now, for me, I don't mind it as much. I really feel like I'm kind of boring other than, what we do here. And I'm not really trying to hide anything. Also, we have Siri, we have Alexa, we have all these other things that are sort of listening to us in the background already. I did ask the kids what they thought about it. And I was talking to Liam about it. He thought it was pretty cool. He wanted it to play video games with him. And you guys might have seen the live stream that Liam started on our channel, which quickly got deleted. But if you saw a live stream of someone playing Fortnite, that was not me. That was Liam, who thought he was starting a streaming channel. So that's what he plans to do with this robot. I plan to hopefully teach it to do the dishes, laundry, all those kind of things. But I'm also really curious how the dog will respond to it.
I mean, this is going to be such an early version of a robot. That's my biggest concern is with Optimus and having trust in Tesla's other products and experience with it. I feel like it's going to kind of be in the same ecosystem and speak to each other and work well. This one, I feel like it's just going to be a ball of fluff. When you said you ordered it, I was like, what are you doing? Fortunately, you can cancel it.
It's
so I'm
research.
Hoping we'll see.
It's research. And I'm really doing it for you guys because I feel like it is research and I want to be able to share it with everyone. And I feel like, we're talking about autonomous driving, and autonomous robots is really the next step of where we're headed in the future. And so that was a big motivating factor for me of it. You had to put $200 down. Now you can cancel that at any time. I think after they send you your configuration stuff, you only have 14 days to cancel it, but it should be delivered end of next year, they say.
Yeah, this is a Norwegian company. You have the option also to have a subscription-based approach, $499 a month. That gets you a little bit later delivery. I'm thinking it's going to be one of those products where the later delivery is probably going to perform much better, and you're going to be a guinea pig. But we've kind of done that with a lot of products in our lives to get experience with it firsthand. So
either way, I'm pretty excited to check this out, have it in our house, kind of get used to it. Let me know in the comments if you have anything that you want me to do with it. I'm starting to plan out right now video ideas, different tests I want to run, and I'm pretty excited for it.
We'll see where it goes.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure that you are subscribed, and we'll catch you next time.